Hi, Tom. Good to see you again. How are
Hey,
you?
good. Mackenzie, nice to see you too. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Now, is it okay if I still record our session just so we can look back at it for future reference?
I guess that's fine with me. Of
Okay,
course.
sounds good.
Yeah.
How have you been doing since our last session we had?
I've been doing really well. The weather started to get nice outside, so
hmm
and spending a lot of time on my boat, on the water, and like going fishing. Just enjoying the weather.
That sounds
Having
really
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
You ready to get started for this session?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course.
So, to kind of start off our session, we want to start off with a question of, have you ever participated in a conversation session before in the past?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, that's
No.
okay. This is gonna be an easygoing session. No need to be worried. We'll go through it together, and I'll explain all the elements that we're gonna go through together.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Cool.
And just kind of a quick overview. What is something you want to gain out of this session?
Um, how to communicate more thoroughly.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely work on that with our conversation piece today, and learning also maybe more, gaining more confidence in that conversation piece.
But yes, yeah, I agree.
And then the last one is, how can I help ensure that you gain the more confidence in your conversations?
Probably just by giving me feedback
Mhm.
and telling me what I can improve on, what I am doing well, and things like that.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. We'll have 3 different elements. I'll explain that here in a second, but I'll definitely give you feedback after each element that we do.
Cool.
So let me explain this a little bit more in detail. In this session, we're going to be working on building confidence in our conversations, like we mentioned. Since that's one of your goal areas that we need to work on based on our assessment from a few sessions ago. We will be having a conversation while changing some of the different elements. So what I mean by this is we'll start by utilizing a blindfold that I have right here. For one time, to see the different kind of conversations we have and how it's affected. The second element, I will be taking off the blindfold from you, and we're going to be facing the wall. So you're going to face the wall, we're going to have a conversation, see how that affects it. And then the third aspect, we're going to be facing, having a normal conversation with eye contact and working on our speech patterns.
Okay.
So that's kind of a little bit of overview of what we're going to do with this session.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So after each element, we're going to stop and discuss how the changed element affected our conversation. What worked, what didn't work, and what we can change for the future in our conversations.
Okay.
So before we start, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Well, feel free to ask me any questions throughout the session if you have any. When we're not doing that conversation piece, feel free to just speak up and ask if you have any.
Sure. Yeah.
You ready to start the first element?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you could put this blindfold and cover your eyes for me.
Oh.
Yep. Awesome. If you could just hold it just so you can't see.
Sure.
So for this first element, we're going to be having a conversation about your favorite place to visit.
Cool.
So we'll carry this conversation out normally. So let's start this piece. So where is your favorite place to visit?
Oh gosh. Probably Hayward, Wisconsin. It's gorgeous there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many trees and a lot of wildlife and great fishing. It just makes me really happy.
Do you go up there very often?
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably 4 or 5 times a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the place that you, that's like your favorite place? There's not another place like tropical that you want to go, or is it more just like up north in Wisconsin?
Probably just Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
All the heat really gets to me.
So like the colder climates?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome.
Florida's gross.
So you take off the blindfold now. So knowing that you had the blindfold on when we were having that short conversation, how did you think the blindfold affected our conversation?
Well, it just kept me from seeing you, and it kind of I helped calm my nerves.
Okay, so it helped you feel calmer, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But were you able to see my verbal cues, or see if I was even like looking at you or like fully engaging the conversation?
No.
Right, and so that's one piece of that blindfold, right? I wanted to show you that yes, it might calm your nerves down a little bit, but you can't read cues from other people. So you're not knowing if I'm like looking at you or like looking out the window or if I'm nodding. So that is one element that definitely the blindfold definitely causes that that loss of element. Okay, are you ready to go into our next element?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So now if you could stand up and have the chair face the wall for me.
Yeah. This wall right here?
Yes. Awesome, thank you. So this second piece, we're going to be having a conversation while you're looking at the wall, but we're going to be talking about the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you. And so the first part, like our first element, I only asked you, but this second time, we're going to both talk about the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to us.
Oh, okay.
So let's start. What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you, Tom?
Oh, gosh. Well, there's this one time I was going through the Starbucks drive-thru, and I accidentally spilled my green tea lemonade all over my lap, and it looked like I had an accident, and I was very embarrassed. It was an absolutely terrible experience.
Did anyone else notice that you had the spilled drink on your lap?
Not until I got out of the car, and then people started laughing at me.
Did it get all over your car that you were driving?
Yes, it did. What was your most embarrassing incident?
Well, I was in high school, and then high school that I went to, we had desks that had the chair and the desk attached together.
Yeah.
And I dropped a pencil one time, and so I leaned over to pick up the pencil. And I'm not the most graceful person in the world, and so when I reached over to pick up the pencil, my desk flipped over on top of me, and there was a whole class full of people, so I had to embarrassingly get up and put the chair back up with the desk and sit back down with the pencil in my hand.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yep. So that is definitely the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me.
Gosh, that's awful.
Yes, so could I have you stand back up and face your chair towards the camera again, please?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, knowing that you were facing a wall during our entire conversation, how did that facing a wall piece affect our conversation?
Well, we still couldn't see each other, so I'd say it really kind of still helped calm my nerves, like the blindfold. Not making eye contact. Couldn't tell what you were doing again.
Yep. Yeah, right. And so it's the same kind of aspect, same type of thing, but this time facing the wall, still couldn't see each other. I personally didn't know if I should look at you facing the wall, if I should look straight ahead. It's kind of a weird aspect of our conversation because, again, we weren't making eye contact. I couldn't tell your nonverbal cues, and you couldn't tell my nonverbal cues. You know, I didn't know if you were smiling when I was telling my embarrassing story, if you were nodding your head. The same thing goes for you. You know, you couldn't see if I was actually making eye contact with you, even though you were facing the wall, or, again, if you were nodding or any of that stuff. So that definitely does affect that conversation piece and knowing all the elements.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go into the last element. We're going to have a normal conversation. We're going to be facing each other. We're going to be making eye contact and working on slowing our speech patterns. So we're going to try to talk as slow as possible and answer every aspect, again, making eye contact and trying not to be nervous and having that confidence piece.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about, this time, we're going to talk about a dream vacation destination. So I know the first element, we talked about your favorite place to visit, but where's like a dream destination place for a vacation that you have?
I think my dream vacation would probably be a nice fly-in into Canada to spend some time in the woods and do some fishing and go hiking and not see another living person.
Okay.
I think that would probably be my dream vacation.
So you like the secluded areas with the woods and more like hunting and fishing?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you know, that just sounds great to me. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, sounds peaceful and relaxing.
And what's your dream vacation?
Well, I like to go somewhere warm, so I would say more of like the Caribbean or maybe like Mexico. You know, not everyday vacation, but like the beaches. I like to lay out in the sun and have the water. You know, wear a swimsuit, just kind of in a warmer climate than what we live in Illinois.
Yeah. do some tanning
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just kind of getting away a little bit, kind of a longer plane ride to get to this place, but also kind of enjoying and relaxing the kind of the same elements as you, except for around more people and not so much wood area. I do like the woods, but that's just not my like dream vacation destination.
No. Yeah, I understand.
So, knowing that we just had like a normal conversation, eye contact, normal speech pattern, how do you think this, like, how did that element affect our conversation?
Well, we're fully engaged now. I could
Mhm.
see if you smiled or when we were making eye contact or if, you laughed or smirked or
Yep.
moved. I saw everything, really. I knew everything that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it was totally different than the other two.
Right, we were adding all those elements together, right? The nonverbal cues, the eye contact, the confidence, knowing that I smiled or I nodded my head when you said something that I agreed with.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing that all those elements do play a part in our everyday conversations. So how can you apply these learned aspects and elements of our conversation into your everyday life?
I could practice making eye contact with people and look for their gestures and things like that. Then stay calm and speak slowly.
Yep. Another thing too, you mentioned at the beginning of our session is sometimes you feel nervous in new conversations, especially maybe with new people. Maybe you can always try to start off with those kind of icebreaker things, kind of get to know someone a little bit before diving deep into the conversation topic. So, like I mentioned, like, have you done anything fun since the last time we talked? Maybe you can try to find a common interest with someone, maybe like the outdoors, and you guys can talk a little bit about like maybe going to the woods for a weekend, or just kind of like talking about like a conversation piece, like starter, before you dive deep into the content of what you need to ask the person.
Yeah,
that's one like way you could try to.
Smart. I would have never thought of that.
So let's talk about the closing aspect. So we're going to wrap up this session, but I want to ask you a few questions and kind of just talk about like the ending of this. So first of all, I want to thank you for your hard work during this conversation session. I know it's not easy trying different elements and kind of being thrown like on the spot, but it's good to gain our conversation confidence in those different aspects of a conversation. I can see that you made progress in making eye contact, having more confidence in that conversation, and just, again, trying the new things, because that does help you in the future with different conversations, especially when you're more nervous or have more anxiety in those new areas. Before we close here, do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I look forward to seeing you for our next session, and you made a lot of progress today, so thank you for your time.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.